Hello, I am Umbrenero and welcome back to Umbrenero's Life. Today's video is my May 2024 plan with me. In 2024, I've been doing video game inspired themes, and that continues here in May's video. So, obviously, this is a couple months behind, but it is getting done. So the first thing I did here on my cover page is I was masking an area because I ended up using some of my distress inks in this layout throughout the entire month. And this first page here, I had quite a bit that I needed to do, and certain areas did not need to be colored in. So I did what I had to. The theme for May is a Yoshi's Island theme, and that game has a lot of watercolor-esque looking elements to it, and I wanted to bring that over into my monthly layouts. So that's exactly what I did here. So the background sky on the cover here is that little bit of a watercolor look without having to actually bring watercolor into my journal. And once I had that done, I had to go and color the hills that I did not want colored in that way. But being me, I got distracted, realized I needed to do all my line work, so I bounced in and did that too. But not all of it. So the nice thing about this theme is it doesn't have to be perfect, because with watercolor type things, it's not always just great, perfect, good to go. There are things that aren't perfectly colored or have different shades within a element. And that's kind of what happened with those hills. But I got back to outlining everything, and I did a small calendar for May because I just wanted to get my journal done, get it caught up, and start getting ahead, hopefully. But obviously, since I'm getting this done in September, that did not happen. So I did a quick numbering. And I started with a little bit of coloring. So in this game, the eggs that are with Yoshi are a big element, and I wanted to include them here on the cover page. Then the last part for this part is my key, which at this point is the same almost every single month. There are minor tweaks and changes here and there, but it's usually the exact same thing. And the last thing before I could move on was coloring in the title for the month. I don't know why I went with gray, probably because it wasn't as harsh as using a black marker. But now onto the monthly log. So since we're at the start of the monthly spread, I went and wanted to kind of imitate something that's at the start of Yoshi's Island, which there's a big treed area where Yoshi and all their friends live. So that's where the whole month is getting organized from. So my monthly log is that area, and because I wanted it to be more vibrant, I just used my Tombows and did not use distress inks on this page. But now I had to make the trunk of the tree. And not being perfect actually came in handy a little bit here, because I don't know about you, but I've never seen a tree with perfect bark and whatnot. So just the varying lines came in handy. But then to make it look a little bit more like the trees from the game, I added a couple spots. And with the quick header put in, that's it for my monthly log. Quick and simple. Now for my habit tracker. Me and habit trackers, we have issues sometimes, but here I wanted to bring that watercolor look into being a more prominent thing. So I did that for my header for a lot of the remaining pages for this month. And here, I just simply made it look like a night sky. As for how my habits were tracked, I tried to draw little calendars for each habit, and the goal was to color in the box for the day. Thing is, that did not happen much. But when does that ever happen much? So in thought, this was a great idea to help keep track and keep myself going. But I had such a small space to write what my habits were, that fitting information in that little space I did leave didn't quite help much. I did leave space on the page for more if I felt like I needed more, and sometimes that's a good thing. Other times it's just a little extra blank space, which is fine. So next was my goals and things, and my goals and things pages are usually very simple. However, here I wanted to have tabs on every page for the rest of the month, so I had to cut off a little bit of the extra page and get rid of it. So that's what I had to do here. But once I had that done, I just needed to color that little edge and give it a little bit of personality. So the way I did the edges is I found distress ink colors that I have that are close to the different colors of Yoshi and their friends. And this is one of the first colors I found, and it fit very well. So I'm like, yep, we're going to use this as my tab color, just to make it look a little different and not be just a plain background. But then I had to do the header on the page. So, quick put tape down over the distress ink that I just did and just went for it. And since my goals and things section is usually very simple, the quick, easy header design, it just helped tie this a lot more. And with this one, I tried to keep with the more nighttime look because I thought it makes sense to have the ones that look similar together. And then it was the quick header before we moved on. Next is the content plan. So, as you can see, I already had my washi tape put on and came in with the same green distress ink to make the back side of this tab all line up and look the same as the front. But once that was done, I had a very simple task to do, which was simply the header. And I was slightly trying to figure out how big it needed to be because I wanted to do something a little different with this one. But sometimes that stuff doesn't always happen. So this one, I brought a little bit more red into the header coloring. And sometimes that simpleness is what's best. At least it was for me. Labeled it, and then we were done with my content plan because this was when I was trying to figure out what was going on. But now we're up to the weekly log. And this is a lot of here's how this is gonna go, and then repeating of it. So I had to get the edge all cut out of this one as well. And I had previously gone in, measured, and marked where each tab needed to be because I did not want to be going through blindly and just guessing of, oh, this is good enough or this is fine, and accidentally make a major mistake. Nope, I wanted to try to be as careful as I could. But then it's the same process here with coloring the tabs, making them all unified in a way. So the next color was this light bluish purple that fit another one of the little Yoshi guys in the game, and I'm like, this works. It'll be fine. Doesn't need to be perfect. And then I reused the same piece of tape from the page in the center here because for each day I wanted to have a unified central area for all of the days of the week, the number for the days, all of that. So I was having a little issue with this color. It was being slightly stubborn because it was a very light pink. And I brought in that light bluish purple just for like an early morning gradient color. With that in, it was time to divide the page out into my daily sections in my weekly log here. And now we repeat this process for the rest of the weeks in this month. And I do use different colors on each tab just to make it easier for me to tell the tabs apart and also to give them all their own uniqueness. And yes, some of the colors that I used for these tabs were a little more vibrant than others. But stuff like that happens. But like I was saying before, between each of these weeks, I wanted a different sky-based background from the game themed area, and that's kind of what I tried to pull off. And each one is a little different from the next, which was something I really wanted in this whole process because I didn't want it to be a cookie cutter copy and paste for each week. And sometimes while you're working on these things, you run out of supplies that you were using. Like here, I ran out of my orange tape, so I grabbed the next color I had a roll of, and it happened to be silver. And the nice thing about not having to be perfect with those little daily parts, well, daily headers for my weekly log, is it gives that watercolor feel that I was wanting. But now we are on to my reflection, and like all of the other pages in this spread, except for maybe my monthly log, I wanted to bring that watercolor feel one final time for the header here. And to make it easy, I just did it across both pages right away. Remove the tape, and then it was time to do just the little details and a lot of labeling. So across the 2-page spread, I decided just to write reflection, because why not? So the biggest design element I wanted to bring in here was the little egg boxes that are in the game. I wanted them to be the subheader design element, just to make it nice and tie back to the beginning of my spread. So once all the boxes were drawn in, then it was labeling everything. And I did it simply as next month, the good, the bad, ways to improve, and why did things go like they did? Because why not? But here I brought in the little bit of a color element and tried to space out the same color so that way it wasn't all one color right next to each other. And since the eggs in the game are primarily these colors, I felt makes sense to have these be the main colors floating around on this page. In all, I really loved how this design turned out. It was one that I was pretty happy with. Yes, there's a couple things that I would have definitely changed, but you don't realize that until after you're done. Well, thank you for watching, and until next time, I am Umbrenero. Bye!